This video was produced by the State Historical Records Advisory Board with support from the National Historical Publications and Records Commission. For more information on the board and its activities, please visit the link in the description of this video. This tutorial covers some common types of policies for use with archival collections. It provides examples of each type of policy, along with some potential language or elements to consider when drafting your own. Let's begin with a collection policy. Simply stated, a collection policy outlines the types of materials you're interested in acquiring. A written collection policy assists potential donors in understanding what you want to collect, as well as materials that will not fit into your collections. What are some potential elements of a collection policy? A good place to begin is with an overview of your institution, such as a mission statement. This is a broad statement of intent that explains the organization's overall goals, core values, products, and/or services. It sets the stage in the collection policy by describing your collection's strengths to a potential donor. A collection policy may also include some details about the areas of focus for your archive. This may include details such as preferred subject areas, creators, time periods, and geographic areas you want to emphasize in your collection. For example, if your collections focus on the history and culture of your county, be sure to note that. If you only want donations from a group of creators, such as members of a church, for example, be clear about that too. These details will assist you in acquiring collections that fit your mission and goals. Another important element of a collection policy may be what format of materials you can accept. Noting that you don't accept printed materials, such as magazines or newspapers, may help guide a prospective donor. Likewise, if you have restrictions on your collections, it's good to state that too. For example, if you do not accept items on loan, you should include that in your collection policy. So, a collection policy outlines who you are, what you collect, and how you will accept it. What do you need when someone wants to donate materials to your archive? Deeds of gift are another important policy document to use with every donation. The purpose of a deed of gift is to outline and acknowledge the transfer of a collection title, including any terms of the donation. Things to include on the deed of gift include the full contact information for the donor, along with a description of the materials to be donated. Don't forget to provide a description of the materials, along with an estimate of volume. Other important aspects of a deed of gift include language about the transfer of ownership and copyright, along with any restrictions on use. You may wish to include notes on the institution's next steps, including what to do with out-of-scope materials weeded out during processing. Can they be disposed of, or will the donor want them back? If a donor wishes to be acknowledged when a patron uses the collection, a note on the credit line for use of the collection can be included in the deed of gift. Be sure to include signature and date lines for both the donor and the person authorized to accept the donation. Here are some examples of deeds of gift. Some deeds of gift are for types of donations requiring extra information. For example, a deed of gift for an oral history should include signatures from the interviewee and the person doing the interview. If anyone needs to borrow your collection materials, a loan form can be an important document to use. A loan form outlines the terms that a person or another institution must abide by when borrowing your archival materials for exhibition, digitization, or consultation. A loan form should include full information on the borrower, as well as a complete description of each item being loaned. Be sure to include the title, description, and other identifying information, including any important condition notes. Loan forms should also include the terms of the loan, including the length, conditions under which the item can be used, and any insurance obligations for the borrower. Transportation arrangements may also be in a loan form. If you want the borrower to give you credit for the loan during an exhibit, be sure the loan document includes language for a credit line. Finally, if there are terms under which a loan can be terminated, be sure to include that too. What if a researcher wants to use an image of an item in your collection for a book, article, or online publication? If that's the case, you'll want to consider crafting a policy for permission for use of your collection materials. Through a permission statement, you grant a researcher the ability to use or to reproduce something from your collections. It also outlines the conditions for that use and how you'll be credited for it. Be sure a permission statement includes information on the person or institution requesting use of the item. A title, description, and other identifying information on the item, such as a call number, should be in the document too. If you have specific language for crediting your institution, that should be part of the statement. Finally, be sure to include any limits on use if there are any. If you are granting permission for one use only, that should be noted. As archives grow and are used, well-written policies can communicate your objectives to internal and external stakeholders and can help protect your collections. They provide the foundation for growing your collections and allow for them to be used safely. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to check the other videos in this series.